The XRP Rich List is hitting a fever pitch, showing just how accessible it is to join the ranks of the top holders right now, amid all this market volatility and those game-changing developments like the Ripple Swell event wrapping up with some heavy hitters in the mix. It's got me fired up because what we're seeing isn't just numbers on a ledger. It's a signal of bigger shifts brewing in the crypto space. And trust me, the detractors are going to hate how this ties into the momentum building for XRP's role in real-world finance. Let's dive right in because there's a ton of dots to connect here that point to why holding even a modest stack could position you way ahead in this game. You know, I've been kneed in this world for years, watching how pieces fall into place like a puzzle you didn't even know was being assembled. It's like those moments when you're putting together a massive jigsaw, and suddenly a whole section clicks. That's how it feels with XRP right now. Today we're talking about that rich list revelation, where the top 10% of holders are clocking in at just 2,022 XRP, and how it stacks up against the whirlwind of recent news. From ETF filings lighting up the scene to partnerships that are quietly reshaping payments, I'll break down some fresh insights from key voices on X, dissect what the charts are whispering without getting too technical, and tie it all back to why XRP's fundamentals make it a standout in a sea of hype. We'll explore whale movements, regulatory wins, and those bold price speculations that have everyone talking. And hey, if you're already holding, give that like button a smash because we're in this together. Your support keeps the conversation going strong. Stick around because by the end, you'll see how these connections aren't just speculation. They're building towards something massive that could reassure even the most jittery investor in these uncertain times. Let's start with the cool stuff popping up on X. Lately, I've been scrolling through threads from influencers and analysts who are diving headfirst into XRP's ecosystem, and it's fascinating how they're countering the noise with solid takes. For instance, there's this wave of posts highlighting whale movements, big wallets shuffling millions of XRP in the last few days, like one exchange seeing a 108% spike in holdings overnight. It's not random. These are signs of accumulation ahead of anticipated catalysts. One account I follow pointed out how Bitso and Kraken have been adjusting their balances with inflow, suggesting smart money is positioning for what's next. And get this, amid all that, community discussions are exploding about how XRP's transparency crushes the secrecy in other projects. Think about those maxis who bash it while their own chains hide behind anonymous founders. Guys, think about that. XRP's ledger is open for anyone to audit. No smoke and mirrors, which is why it's drawing in institutions tired of the hypocrisy in the space. It's like comparing a glass house to a fortress with hidden rooms. XRP lets the light in, building trust where others breed suspicion. But let's not stop there. Recent posts are buzzing with even more specifics. For example, there's talk of Evernorth Holdings linked XRP coins on the move with wallets created by BitGo, transferring assets just ahead of major announcements. This isn't just idle chatter. It's the kind of on-chain activity that screams preparation for big liquidity events. Another thread I came across detailed how RTX infrastructure is building out with strategic investments pushing Ripple's valuation skyward. One analyst shared a breakdown of XRPL's expansion into DeFi and real-world assets, emphasizing new modules for lending and custody that could revolutionize how institutions interact with crypto exvestory. These insights counter the foot so effectively because they're backed by real data. Whale accumulations aren't hype. They're votes of confidence from those with the most skin in the game. Tying that back to the rich list, holding 2,322 XRP right now puts you in elite company. Over 700,000 wallets in that top 10%. And that's down from needing 3,500 just 2 years ago. It's like the barrier to entry is dropping as adoption ramps up, making it easier for everyday folks to get in on the action. Why does this matter? Because with XRP trading around $250, that stack costs about $5,800 today. But connect the dots to the broader news and you see the potential for serious growth. Imagine being in the top 0.54%, like some holders are boasting about on X, planning to hold through legislation and DeFi maturation for rewards and borrowing opportunities. House real grape drop. It's not about bragging, it's about strategic positioning in a market where the number required to be rich is shrinking, as more people join and value accrue. Take the recent partnership announcements. Ripple teaming up with MasterCard to pilot RLUSD credit card settlements on the XRP ledger. That's not just fluff, it's real utility in action, enabling real-time settlements without the clunky traditional rails that banks have been stuck with for decades. During the Swell conference, Ripple unveiled new ties with WebBank and Gemini 2, powering RLUSD for broader use. And get this, the XRP ecosystem just hit over 300 banking partnerships, a milestone that's got Wall Street watching closely. This is a direct shot at the inefficiencies in finance. And when you layer on XRP's fixed supply of 100 billion tokens, with burns happening on every transaction to reduce circulation over time, it's like a built-in scarcity mechanism that's deflationary by design. No endless minting like some coins. This is engineered for value preservation. Each transaction chips away at the supply, creating a snowball effect where utility drives demand and burns tighten the noose on availability. Now, let's zoom out a bit on the price action, because I know you're all wondering how this ties into speculation for the coming months. The charts are showing some classic patterns. XRP bouncing off support levels around 220, with resistance testing at 255, echoing those rebounds we saw in the 2013-2017 cycles, where turbulence looked scary, but was just prelude to massive runs. It's like sound waves in a storm. The market noise is loud, with short-term dips, maybe a 33% slide here or there, but the big catalysts are the thunderclaps that drown it out. Remember 2017. XRP went from pennies to over $3 in a flash as partnerships piled on. Today, we're seeing parallels with institutional buy-in ramping up. BlackRock execs at Swell talking trillions moving on-chain via the XRPL. White House reps hinting at policy shifts under a crypto administration. These aren't isolated events. They're interconnected threads weaving a tapestry of adoption. And don't get me started on the ETF hype. Canary Capital Spot XRP ETF is set to launch tomorrow, November 13th, after clearing NASDAQ hurdles, potentially unlocking billions in inflows. That's not pie in the sky. It's listed on DTCC with others like Franklin Templeton and 21 shares following suit, and even Gayscale and WisdomTree eyeing launches by month's end. If Bitcoin's ETF saw $50 billion pour in, imagine what XRP's utility edge could do. Analysts are eyeing $5 by year-end on that alone, with some predicting 680 amid whale additions of $480 million in just 48 hours. Hamarangan Yo7 XRP surged 11% recently on the back of these filings, signaling the market's anticipation. It's like a dam breaking. Once the floodgates open, retail and institutions alike rush in, amplifying the momentum. But here's where it gets really interesting. Connecting these dots to XRP's core strengths, the escrow mechanism, 55 billion XRP locked up and released monthly only for proven use cases, ensures no flood of supply diluting value, unlike projects that dump tokens on retail. Add in the transaction burns, which have already torched millions, and you've got a system that's inherently bullish long-term. Regulatory progress is the cherry on top. Ripple's win against the SEC last year cleared the fog, positioning XRP as non-security in the US, while global adoption surges in places like Asia and the Middle East, where cross-border payments are a nightmare without it. Think about the remittance corridors in Southeast Asia or the oil trade settlements in the Gulf. XRP's speed, clocking in at seconds per transaction with fees pennies low, crushes the days-long waits and high costs of SWIFT. It's not theoretical, it's happening now, with partnerships expanding into emerging markets. Contrast that with the chaos in other coins. Secretive teams, rug peas, endless feud from maxis who preach decentralization but centralize power in mining pools. Guys, I've seen it firsthand. The hypocrisy is real, and it's why XRP stands out as the trusted bridge asset for real finance. Bitcoin maxis call XRP a banker coin, but let's flip that. While their network is bottlenecked by energy-guzzling proof of work, XRP's proof of consensus is efficient, eco-friendly, and truly global, with validators spread across continents. It's hypocritical to bash collaboration with institutions when the future of crypto lies in integration, not isolation. Speaking of speculation, let's touch on those bold calls floating around. Experts like Jake Claver are dropping bombs, predicting XRP could hit $100 to $1,000 quickly if multiple ETFs launch simultaneously, driving institutional demand through the roof. He ties it to macro shifts like oil spikes or regulatory crackdowns on stablecoins, forcing capital into reliable assets like XRP. Even wilder, he's eyeing Piempton 500 on $2,000 by 2026 if the reverse carry trade unwinds and blockchain integrates with stock settlements via projects like DTCC's ION. But the predictions don't stop there. Some analysts see $2,100 in 2025 under a pro-crypto administration, easing barriers with pennant breakouts signaling strength. Arkstall Guy Tycoon. Others go further, forecasting $35 based on technicals like bullish zigzag patterns, or even $5,000 long-term, assuming global adoption and tech dominance. Is it hype? Sure, but back it with evidence. Ripple's $40 billion valuation after a $500 million raise, acquisitions like Hidden Road for $1.3 billion, and aims to tokenize trillions in assets. If XRP captures even 1% of the $650 trillion global market through tokenization, real estate, bonds, derivatives, we're talking explosive growth. And with circulating supply at $60 billion, a $100 price pushes market cap to $6 trillion, aligning with projections for crypto's expansion. Of course, short-term chaos is part of the ride. Crashes from over-leveraged trades, government shutdown echoes shaking sentiment. But zoom out and the positives dominate. Institutional adoption is ramping. Robinhood's Bitstamp buy is building tokenized stocks on XRPPL. Citadel raising funds for Ripple. It's like the early internet days. Busts happened, but the infrastructure winners boomed. XRP's parallels to those cycles reassure me. We've weathered worse, and now, with crypto policies, we're ahead of the curve. Critics say it's impossible, but they said the same about Bitcoin hitting 100K. The smart money behaviors, whales stacking, partnerships multiplying, tell a different story. Look at the top XRP Rich List revealed this month. With concentration in few hands, it raises questions about decentralization, but it also highlights how early adopters are poised for gains. CoinGate Media. Guys, I wasn't expecting this level of convergence when I first got into this, but sharing these insights feels like passing on a map to buried treasure. If you're new, start small. Understand the burns reduce supply over time. Escrow prevents dumps. Utility in payments outpaces competitors. For vets, this is validation. Your patience positions you for the boom, and if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. We'll keep unpacking these connections together. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's your take on the ETF launch? How many XRP are you aiming for to hit that rich list sweet spot? Maybe you're like those posting about holding for $5 before a sell-off, then buying back in. Real grape drop. Pushing further, let's critique the misinformation out there. Bitcoin maxis love to FUD XRP as banker coin, but hello, transparency. Their chain's dominated by a few mining pools, while XRP's decentralized. Validators span the globe. It's hypocritical and it blinds them to opportunities. Psychological insights here. Panic sells during dips, but history shows rebounds reward holders. We get caught in the fear cycle. Selling low when whales are buying, but understanding the long game flips that script. Think global. Asia's remittance markets alone could drive billions in volume, with XRP's speed and low fees crushing Swift's days-long waits. In Latin America, partnerships are enabling micropayments that empower the unbanked, while in Europe, regulatory clarity is opening doors for treasury operations. And don't overlook the macro angles. With potential BlackRock Ripple ties rumored to push XRP to $1,000 by year's end through ETF liquidity and tokenization. It's all about the bigger picture. Money Hustle 41075. or consider forecasts like $3.50 by 2050 from conservative analysts, scaling up to ambitious $5,000 if adoption hits critical mass. Hi, Steepson. Son. These aren't wild guesses, they're rooted in trends like XRPL's EVM sidechain bringing tokenized assets into play, or multi-partner stablecoin integrations for card settlements. As we wrap this up, let's get philosophical. The transformation in crypto, especially with XRP leading payments and tokenization, feels inevitable, like gravity pulling capital toward efficiency. In uncertain times, it's empowering to be part of a community that's not just speculating, but building the future. Excitement's building for 2026 and beyond. If these dots connect as they seem to, with ETFs debuting, partnerships scaling, and utility exploding, that rich list entry today could be your ticket to freedom tomorrow. Stay hyped, guys. Share this if it resonated, and let's keep the conversation alive.